Big day for the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court has ruled on Donald Trump's immunity. And let's just put it straight. Donald Trump calls this a win. Social media that supports Donald Trump calls this a win. Chuck Schumer calls the Supreme Court decision a MAGA decision. And the reality is somewhere in between. Yes, this is a win for Trump, as there could have been a ruling that suggested presidents have no immunity. But that was not what was an expected outcome here. See, what I always like to do is I like to think of cops. Cops work for the government, and they benefit from something known as qualified immunity. This basically allows them to be immune from prosecution as long as they're fulfilling their official duties, and it would be logical that this would apply to the president as well. Qualified immunity holds that as long as someone doesn't establish or violate clearly established law, then they're protected from harassment or distraction of litigation. The purpose there is really to allow officials in government to do their job without getting willy-nilly prosecuted all the time, and they're sitting in court all the time, and then they can't actually do their duty because they're sitting in court defending themselves all the time. The whole point of qualified immunity is, hey, you got a job to do. Some people aren't going to like that you got a job to do, but as long as you follow the Constitution, you're good. And so when it comes to Donald Trump, what the Supreme Court here said is, yes, the president does have immunity, criminal liability, immunity against any kind of criminal liability for official actions on behalf of the government. But they can be held liable for private acts, unofficial acts. This is kind of like a cop who's on duty might have qualified immunity, but in their personal lives, don't. That is totally logical. It's basically the same standard. Now, yes, the decision was a 6-3 split, so a lot of folks are going, oh, this was a conservative tilt. This was this is a hack job by Trump-appointed Supreme Court justices. But when I apply this to where else in law we have something similar, in this case, law enforcement for my analogy, this ruling actually is broadly in line with what you would expect. That the same immunity that cops get is the same immunity that a president gets. So now the debate comes, okay, well, are you acting on behalf of the government, and are you acting in a manner that is consistent with your job, right? If you're going above and beyond your job and doing things that violate the law, that aren't reasonably in line with your job, then that qualified immunity goes away. Some examples. Now, Donald Trump is able to protect conversations that he has in official business. So in talks with Mike Pence, or in talks with the Department of Justice, or in talks with his staff, emails, text messages, phone call records, memos, notes, minutes from meetings, all that stuff could be protected under this immunity ruling. This makes it a lot harder for prosecutors to try to put a case together against Donald Trump. And this is why folks are seeing this as a win for Trump. Because now prosecutors like Jack Smith have to make an argument that, hey, well, you violated the law, and we're going to find proof for you violating the law. Jack Smith's charges, just to remind you, against Donald Trump are conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy against the right of Americans to vote, obstructing an official proceeding, and conspiracy to do so. Well, first of all, to get those conspiracy claims, you're going to somehow have to get evidence that there was any conspiracy. You're going to need access to phone records, emails, text messages, conversation minutes. Well, if that's now all protected under immunity, those conversations under official business, it's going to be really hard for Jack Smith to get anything on the conspiracy front. So then it just comes down to, what did Donald Trump publicly say on, frankly, January 6th? And, we had quotes like, we're going to fight like hell, but then we also had quotes like, we're going to peacefully protest. So there's fighting like hell for your Constitution. That doesn't necessarily mean punching people in the face with poles, and not to be confused with voting poles. I mean metal poles. And then there's, maybe that's not even, punching might not even be the right word, right? But that's maybe not, is that what Trump meant? When Trump says fight like hell, did he mean whack somebody with a pole? Or did he mean, we're gonna make our voices heard? Okay, that now gets debated. And Jack Smith just basically got limited on what kind of text messages he could get between Trump and Ivanka, let's say, or Trump and Pence to see where Trump's head was. If there was a text where Trump's like, look at them, beat up Congress for not electing me. This is exactly what I wanted them to do. Well, that would be a smoking gun. I don't think Trump would be dumb enough to actually put that in writing, but that would be a smoking gun that would really help Jack Smith. Now, Jack Smith can't even look. So that's why this is being cast as a win for Trump. Now, is this really, in my opinion, like some MAGA immunity ruling where you have Sotomayor going, oh, now that Trump, or any president could do some, illegal hit squad organization with Navy SEALs and could kill anyone they want with, immunity? Well, no, I personally don't think so, because now you could be arguing that a president is violating clearly established norms or laws or going above their call of duty. Not to make reference to the video game, sorry, although it is a good game. And there are way less, as far as I'm aware, cheaters in Call of Duty than there are in Rust. In Rust, everybody's a cheater. It's so toxic, it's just bad. But anyway, going back to politics, which is the point of what we're talking about here, right after I mentioned life insurance, you can get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes by going to metkevin.com/life if any of this stresses you out. It's a paid promotion, it's an affiliate of the channel. But anyway, let's think about this. The Justice Department, at the top of it, basically, the Supreme Court, or the top of the justice system, what they really did is they just sent the hard work back to the lower courts. Like, look, official, mostly immune, as long as it follows the law. Non-official, not immune. Now you go figure out what's what. Okay? So this is then where lower courts are going to have to decide, did Donald Trump incite violence? Was that speech, that campaign speech, an official speech or a non-official speech? All of those things are going to get thrown to the lower courts. The lower courts will have to decide on those without being able to get a lot of conversation evidence, so they're really just going to have to use public information. And then the lower courts would have to rule, find Donald Trump guilty, basically, based on public information that we have, which seems like it's going to be a stretch. And even if they do, the odds are it would just end up getting appealed right back to the Supreme Court. So this stuff is going to be going on for years. We're going absolutely nowhere with this anytime soon. So in my opinion, if I had to put this on sort of the scale of, is this a Trump win? Is this a MAGA win? Is this, a left-wing win? Well, it's obviously not a left-wing win. I don't think it's 100%, Trump win, because you do still have some potential risk, but it's probably a 70% Trump win. And I think the comparison to law enforcement officers is useful because it does preserve something that's pretty well understood in courts today, that, hey, as long as you're doing things that are reasonable, you're immune, because we don't want to distract you from being able to function at your workplace because you're constantly being harassed or you're fearful of being liable for actions that you're doing on behalf of the United States. So, excuse me, those are going to be the questions. None of this is going to happen before the election. The next thing to happen now is we're standing by to see if, well, quite frankly, Joe Biden is going to make an announcement on July 4th. That's my anticipation. So far, things seem pretty quiet in Camp Biden, but we'll see how that goes. And in the meantime, Donald Trump is already starting to cheer about how much of a win this is, and they're fundraising on the back of this. But then again, you know that almost no matter what the ruling would have been, Donald Trump would have been cheering fundraising over this. So we can actually look at some of the messages here. Donald Trump's, today's historic decision by the Supreme Court should end all of Joe Biden's crooked witch hunts against me. Including the New York hoaxes, the Manhattan scam cooked up by the Soros-backed DA Alvin Bragg, racist New York Attorney General Trish James' shameless attack on the amazing businesses I have built, and the fake Bergdorf case. Proud to be an American. Solid SCOTUS ruling, says Trump Jr. I'm sure the corrupt prosecutors and D.C. judge will work overtime to continue their lawfare. It's all they have. Big win for Constitution and democracy. Proud to be an American. Yeah, and then they talk about some older information here about the debates. So that's a little bit here from the Trump camp. I've seen some comments from the left, but there is a new ad from the Biden admin, and it's probably going to be worth watching. So let's, just to balance this out, let's go ahead and give it a listen here. It comes with the caption, "Folks, I know I'm not a young man, but I know how to do this job. I know how to tell the truth. Donald Trump does not. Watch our new ad." Keep in mind, both of them lied during the debate. I mean, we fact-checked it live while we were covering it, and both of them said things that were a little loony. Like killing babies after they're born as a form of abortion. That's loony. The Biden, the economy was flat when I took over. No, it wasn't. But then also, both of them are responsible for inflation. So there are just lies on both sides. So I always think it's a little soft when one side's like, the other side's a liar. Yeah, both sides lie. It's just a matter of, what do Americans think about the long-term direction of where we want to go in the future? And whose lies do we believe are less important? All right, let's listen in here.
Did you see Trump last night? I mean it sincerely. The most lies told in a single debate. He lied about the great economy he created. He lied about the pandemic he botched. And then, his biggest lie, he lied about how he had nothing to do with the insurrection of January 6th.
Mind you, this is the teleprompter version of Joe Biden at the North Carolina rally in Raleigh, North Carolina.
We all saw with our own eyes.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
We saw police being attacked, the Capitol being ransacked. He did not a single thing to stop it, nothing.
In fairness, it was a little slow, Donald Trump's response, but eventually he did come out and suggest, hey, go home. Everybody should go home. It came a little late. I'll give him that. But to say Donald Trump did nothing is also a lie. And again, this idea that the economy was flat when Biden took over, which Biden saying Trump lied about the state of the economy is also untrue. I mean, the economy was growing at over a 16% pace in January of 2021. So, like I say, they both lie. It's like politician and lie go together,
Folks, I know I'm not a young man, but I know how to do this job. I know right from wrong. I know how to tell the truth. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Hey, it's exciting, right? Like, if you're a Biden supporter, you're like, hell yeah, that's a great ad, awesome, look at energetic Joe. The frustration that I have is it's teleprompter Joe. And I don't mean that as an insult. I think some people think it's like, oh, you're just anti-Democrat or whatever. No, I think there are plenty of great Democrats that could lead this nation, but I don't think Biden can lead this nation. I think, unfortunately, the teleprompter and the scriptwriters are leading the nation with Biden. And so that personally just makes me uncomfortable. But otherwise, hey, I'll keep trying to bring as much information as I can from as impartial as a manner as possible. I'll let you know when something is a fact and when something is an opinion, so that way you can make up your own mind. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good luck.
Not advertise these things that you told us here. I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.
Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is not personalized advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show shall not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from. I also personally operate an actively managed ETF. I may personally hold or otherwise hold long long or short positions in various securities, potentially including those mentioned in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuer other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Make sure if you're considering investing in HouseHack to always read the PPM at househack.com.